It's driving me nuts. Hi! So I guess I'm recording during the day in my new room, and I guess we have some interference from the blinds and the sun, because the sun is a thing and it hits my room all day long. The focus of this video is going to be answering one of the top questions that I get after like the how to get started making a bag or crafting business video, is when to know to sell. When are you ready to sell? And I would emphasize this is an entirely personal decision. This is not something that I can tell you like a checklist of things of when you personally should feel confident enough in selling your products. I do focus on bags and wallets, so some of the advice that I might give in this video is very specific to that realm, but it can apply to other mediums in the sewing and crafting world as well. The big thing to mention is the confidence level. You need to feel confident in your work. That's really it. It boils down to a bunch of different things, which I'll roll through briefly and touch on these things and kind of explain them a little bit with examples of my previous work when I started to think that I was ready to sell, which is super cute. So let's get right into it. All right, tip number one, are you stitching straightly and evenly? Are you zigging and zagging all over the place, or is it nice and straight looking? This mostly applies to top stitching, whether it be across a zipper, the top of a bag, a pocket, or even a flap for a messenger bag. These are the kinds of things you need to look at with a critical eye. Take a good look at the work that you're doing and trying to put out there before you price it and try to sell it to someone. I can't tell you how many times I've personally in the past have been like, that's fine, no one will notice, but it ends up looking, I hate to use the word sloppy because it gets thrown around in a very derogatory manner, but it just doesn't look refined. It doesn't look like somebody put attention, care, and craft into it. And let's face it, we are going to be compared against the people who are buying at like Target and Walmart. You know, somebody's going to go, well, I could go to Target and I could buy that for $20. And your bag is sitting there handcrafted and priced maybe $45, $50. I mean, depending on the bag, right? But that's what you're going to get compared against, is people who are building things in bulk in factories in some other part of the world versus just you in your homegrown studio. So, you know, it's whatever can make you stand out apart from that. There's mistakes in everything. And sometimes it's actually really cute when you have a mistake. You're like, oops, I bled on the bag, you know, maybe. But, you know, there's certain mistakes that you really should try to fix up. So like if you're doing a vinyl bag and you needed to remove some stitches, well, now you've got holes in it. Vinyl or leather could do this. You'll have holes, so you need to make sure that you re-stitch into those holes. Otherwise, now you've got holes in your bag, and what are you gonna do then? So I personally wouldn't sell it if it had a flaw, or if I did sell it, I'd sell it at a discount and at least make it known, here's what the flaw is. But again, this is like a skill level question. Do you feel like your skill is good? I mean, again, I'm not someone who can judge. Why would I tell you if your work is good or not? That's all subjective. It's artwork, just like anything else. So again, these are just tips for you to consider so that, you know, you can make that decision for yourself. Don't let anybody else do that for you, okay? Oh, one of the things, this is very specific to bags, and I guess it could be for garments as well, is interfacing. Are you using the correct interfacing, and did you apply it to the fabric well enough? The reason I point this out is because I didn't interface any of my earlier bags. I have some embarrassing products. I have some embarrassing stories about straps stretching out over time, or ripping, or bags sagging and not holding their shape after like a few months usage. So these are all things that, you know, I try to bring up specifically for bag makers, because interfacing is extremely important. And if you need help with interfacing, I have videos for that too. Okay, here's a big one. Have you eaten your dog food? Meaning, have you used your own product? Have you taken one of your bags or hats or skirts and have you used it? Because you need to beat it up yourself in order to see the flaws in it. So that's how I have always found the issues with the products I was making. I had my own pattern line for myself. I never published the patterns, but I had like this whole suite of patterns, and my most popular one was the Nimue. And I had refined it by making myself a Nimue so that I could increase the depth of it. I could place the magnet better. It was just a magnetic closure tote that just went right, just a shoulder strap, right? And so there were all these things I needed to refine on it that I wouldn't have otherwise figured out had I not eaten the dog food. There's other colorful ways of phrasing it, whole thing, but the point is basically just make sure to use your own products before you put them up for sale, because you'll be much more critical than your average buyer. Kind of doubling back on that question regarding stitches and are they even, like evenly distributed? Are they straight for top stitching? The other thing is wrinkles and puckers and other things, which can also kind of allude to poor interface application. But if you are doing a bag like with a curved seam, it's really hard sometimes to see when you're working on it inside out, for example, and you flip it right side out, and there is the dreaded pinch. You have a fold, a pleat, or whatever, and it wasn't meant to be there, but it actually ruins the look of the bag. Look out for those things. Those are actually really easy to fix, and I kind of need to like pencil down somewhere real quick. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do this while I'm talking to the camera because that's just how I roll. I want to do a video on that, like common failures in bags and how to fix them. Hold on, you guys are getting a little, insight into my brain. So, video on fixing common bag mistakes. Well, not really, like, it could be mistakes, it could be flavor. Anyway, it all depends on your perception of it. So, I wouldn't sell something with a big flaw like that unless I priced it down, especially if it's a commission. There's reasons I don't do commissions anymore. It's because they stress me out. Yeah. Next tip would be, have you established your business yet? I have a really big video that I did that encompasses most of the things that you need to know about starting a business, specifically bags, but like I said, it applies to everything really. It's not just bag making. And I'll have like one of those flashy little cards show up in YouTube so you can go click on that and watch it. But from a legal standpoint, make sure you set up your business and that you are ready for that part of it too. It's not just like the confidence level in thinking, okay, I'm good, I've got this. But it's also, having everything lined up and being ready, mentally ready to open a business. And it'll probably take you weeks to come up with a name for the business anyway. That's what it did for me. And then I was like, great, I can't abbreviate my business name now, because if you were to put it on a license plate, what would it say? Let's stop and think about that for a minute. Fierce Kitten Studio, FKS. Rip my life. All right, the last tip that I could give you is probably the most important advice. Are you proud of your work? Like proud. Like, are you somebody who's gonna hold up something and go, I made this? Like you do with your kids, your grandkids, your dog, your cat. Like, this is mine. Like, if you have that level of pride in your work, you're ready. Go do it. It's more or less like the stress of setting up the business, the stress of what if you want to do commissions and oh God, I missed a stitch. Like, there are ways to repair these things and ways to train and do better. There are ways to discount something, but with a positive flair. really all of this boils down to you feeling proud and confident in the work that you're doing, and confident that you can price something. And now pricing is a completely different topic. That's going to like depend on a lot of things, not just your market, but like state taxes, you know, taxes in general, because like not everybody who watches me is in the United States of America. So, you know, you got to look into what your region is accepting as in terms of like handmade pricing. There's a whole other video on that too. I'm like really good at trying to split these things up and then doubling back on some topics like this one. It's a bad habit. I just like to talk to cameras.